Okay, we're going to do one more Bible study here, and it's going to be specifically about the bright morning star. All right? So, the bright morning star in 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 19. I know I covered this a lot, but this is really important as to understand the bright morning star in the Bible. Now, 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 19. The second half of this says, "The day will dawn, and Christ, the morning star, shines or rises in our hearts." So that's Jesus's return inside of us. We've covered this in a couple of other videos, so you can go back and look at the other videos. But the other places where the morning star is Revelation 22:16. Let's look at what that says. It says, "I, Jesus, have sent my angel to give you this message for the churches. I am both the source of David and the heir to his throne. I am the bright morning star." So the bright morning star, Jesus, rises in our hearts. And "I, Jesus, have sent my angel to give you this message. I am both the source of David," so the line of Jesse and David, right? The line of Jesus, the line of Jesse, the line of David. And there's always a speaker, right, for God on the earth, which is very apparent through the order of Melchizedek. So this is the bright morning star. It's a really, really beautiful so far. Now, the next place, I should say previous in the Bible, the other place that the morning star is mentioned in is in Isaiah chapter 14 in verse 12. And this is where it gets really controversial, because this in only the King James version of the Bible, it says that the morning star is Lucifer. Okay, that's the only version of the Bible that mentions the word Lucifer. Only in the King James version. So if you're reading from the King James version, you can look through all of the rest of the entire Bible, and the one place where it says Lucifer is Isaiah 14:12. Now, there is from the Catholic Church a bishop from around the same era of when the King James Version was written. His name was Bishop Jerome. He's the one in the churches, from the theological teachings, he's the one that says Lucifer is Satan. He's the only one. Now, how can all of the versions of the Bible, including the King James, represent this as the bright morning star and then call it Lucifer and then call it Satan? Okay, when the other places in the Bible says that the bright morning star is Jesus, or the line of Jesus. So it's only one bishop's theology that got stuck. And then from there, the churches kept repeating a lie. And you know, when it's told by an authority, they cover up a lie so many times over and over and over, because they can't be proven wrong. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to say, no, everything that you said is wrong then. But not everything that they say is wrong. It's from thousands of years ago, or even 500 years ago, like when the King James Version is from, approximately. Maybe I'm a little off there, but I think it was in the 1600s. So anyway, there's so much right, but how can someone understand what they were saying then, when we've had more experiences today to lead us to a different place, so that we can discover what life actually means and how to unlock the Bible to life? Like today in the scientific world, they're saying that that the reality is immortality, that we can discover and live immortal. They're saying this in all of the science magazines. So this immortality is not a new idea, but it's new in our minds. We have to renew our minds to this. Anyway, let's get back to Isaiah. In Isaiah, in chapter 14, verse 12. Now, it's asking a question in here, which is really, really important, because it says, how are you fallen from heaven, O shining star, son of the morning? You have been thrown to the earth, you who destroyed the nations of the world. Let's talk about what are the nations of the world? What makes the earth, what divides the earth into nations? Okay, in our current events, let's talk about the borders of the nations, right? The systems of the nations, the governments of the nations. These things right here make up the nations. So who's destroying the nations? These divisions, right, of the nations, these, the border walls that, well, they're not really walls. They don't work. It's a humanitarian crisis. Can we agree on that? We have a humanitarian crisis in the world. And really, if you haven't lived in a third world country, it's probably not very appropriate for you to even comment unless you can come with a little bit of understanding or ask some questions here. So understand that we're humans living on this earth. And yes, we're living together on this earth. And as humans, as just simple people, I know that we all want to exist in peace together. There's a lot of indoctrination inside of people's minds to divide and conquer and cause harm out of vengeance, right? Things have been done, so we need to do this back to the others and get back at each other. This is not the godly way. The godly way is coming from a place of understanding. That's where the magic is. The magic happens when we try to put ourselves in other shoes and you know, what is it like to live in a different country? At least ask that question. Why are we taught certain things? I know that when I was a little kid, 5 and 6 years old, we were taught to save we were given the milk cartons in school, to save our pennies for Africa. These countries are so poor and they need our pennies, right? And so why are they so poor? I mean, we weren't taught to really ask these questions. We were just taught to give, that money was going to solve the problems. I'm dating myself now, but this is 40 years ago, okay? And really, if we think we can throw money at a problem and solve the problem, and all of this time, we're proven wrong. We need different solutions, real solutions that are going to solve the root of the problem. And that's why I say, if you haven't lived in a third world country, you don't even know the root. You can't know the root. Even through history books, no matter which history you learn from books, who was the book written by, what agenda did it have? So these things, these nations are being destroyed right now, and they have to be destroyed right now in order to create heaven on earth, because we are one people. This is one earth. So it's really interesting in this Isaiah chapter 14, all the questions that are asked. It says, well, this is it's a comparison. It's very similar to things Jesus said. Jesus said, I'm going to go to heaven. And this says, for you said to yourself, I will ascend to heaven and set my throne above God's stars. I will preside on the mountains of the gods far away of the north. This is from an angle here that somebody's saying they're going to go to heaven, just like Jesus said. But this is coming from a a question standpoint. You said this, like a blaming standpoint. Somebody saying that they were better than another person, right? I will climb to the highest heavens and be like the Most High. Instead, you will be brought down to the place of the dead. Where's the place of the dead? Who are on this earth walking around, decaying and dying? There's a huge difference between dying and living. That's really where the magic happens, when you can understand this point right here. Instead, you will be brought down to the place of the dead, down to its lowest depths. Everyone there will stare at you and ask, see, here's another question. Can this be the one who shook the earth and made the kingdoms of the world tremble? When you understand this, and when you read the rest of the book of Isaiah, you see that the shaking of the earth is caused by the representative of God, the Lord. This is exactly what the book of Isaiah is talking about, is the shaking of the earth happened by the Lord God, the Lord of God, right? The person, the representative that's on the earth, the order of Melchizedek, the high priest in the order of Melchizedek, or in the order of Lucifer, which was before the order of Melchizedek. There's so much to the Bible to really understand, and please don't be deceived by a lie that was shared by one bishop in a church, and that stuck, and it just continued. And I am asking you to, if you curse the name Lucifer, why don't you curse instead the name Satan? It's one shift of understanding, because even in the dictionary definition of the word Lucifer, it says that it's another word for Satan according to the churches, because that was made up at that time. Now, the other definition of the word for Lucifer is straight in there. It's straight in the dictionary. Please look it up. Is the planet Venus. And Venus is known as Lucifer. So Venus known as Lucifer. Venus, the planet Venus is really amazing, because if you, wow, there's just so much to understand and unpack. This is the bright morning star. Okay, the planet Venus. I got cursed out the other day because when I said Venus, somebody said I was talking about the goddess Venus, right? And just because somebody understands something in one way, it's better to ask questions. Please ask questions like they do in the Bible. They say, is this the one? Can this be the one that shook the earth? That's what they're doing here, asking a question. So if we can ask more questions and try to gain understanding from different perspectives, this is so much better than trying to accuse somebody, which causes the problems in the world today. So please ask questions if you're not understanding, and it's a whole lot to unpack. It's a big shift to understand this. So if you are thinking that it's Satan but calling it Lucifer, I'm going to suggest you just change the name. Curse Satan, or curse fear. Fear controls and paralyzes people, right? That's what lives inside the demons. It's all rooted in fear. So if we can back up and not have the fear, and instead have the faith and walk in the faith and act in the faith, understanding that we're written in the book of life. It's so awesome, and shifting your thoughts and your cells, to the book of life, to life, and stop the decay and instead start the living. Oh my gosh, already there you will see how there's so much magic. But you know what happens? I'll tell you what happens here. It's like a baby. a baby gets a fever when when its body tries to overcome an illness in it. So the baby runs the fever. The body's response is the fever. So what happens is that when we get new thoughts or ideas that start scrambling around in our head, our physical body takes on symptoms. So if you start getting sick, please use some natural remedies. I like to use onion and sugar that crystallizes and turns into a cough syrup. I like to use garlic and honey. I like to use, so these natural medicines, and not run to the doctor for poisons to put in our body. But if you can recognize some responses from getting some new ideas, because your world, the fear that you've been living in, your comfortable world of fear, starts shifting into hope and understanding that we're coming into this place of life and living and getting rid of all death and dying and decay, then your whole world starts shifting, and there might come in that transition a body's physical response where you start coughing or getting sick. So that sickness, like a baby's response with the fever, is to detox your body of those impure thoughts and detox your body of everything bad, so that you can shift into a positive direction. So I hope this helps you, and I'll be on here again for more. So thanks so much for checking in.